Have you ever judged someone in 5 seconds and completely destroyed your own future without even knowing it? Before we begin, please hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Heartbound Stories. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Jessica Monroe believed she was special. Not just good at her job. Not just smart. Special. The kind of person who walks into a room and expects everyone to notice. Today was supposed to be her big moment. The day she would join Sterling and Associates, one of the biggest companies in the city. The job paid more money than she had ever made. The office sat high up in a shiny glass tower that touched the clouds. Everything about this place screamed success. She wore her most expensive suit. Black, perfectly fitted, with shoes that clicked loudly against the floor with every step. Click, click, click. The sound made her feel powerful, like a queen entering her castle. She had practiced her smile in the mirror that morning. Confident but not cocky. Friendly but not weak. She had rehearsed her answers to every question they might ask. Nothing could go wrong today. The lobby looked like something from a movie. Huge windows let in bright morning sunlight. The floors were so clean and shiny she could almost see her reflection. Tall plants stood in the corners. A fountain bubbled quietly near the entrance. Behind a curved white desk sat a receptionist with kind eyes and a warm smile. Jessica walked past her without saying hello. She was too busy looking around, taking everything in, judging it all. Her eyes moved across the walls, the furniture, the hallways. That's when she noticed something strange. The hallways were wider than normal. Not by a little bit. By a lot. Like someone had built them twice as big as they needed to be. And there were ramps. Long, smooth ramps that curved gently instead of stairs in some places. She saw extra space between the pillars that held up the ceiling. Buttons on the walls were lower than usual. Even the drinking fountain seemed built at odd heights. Everything felt different. Too open. Too accommodating. Jessica let out a small laugh. Not a happy laugh. A mean one. The kind that says you think you know better than everyone else. She leaned slightly toward the receptionist and spoke just loud enough to be heard. This place looks more like a hospital than a business. The receptionist's smile froze. Her fingers stopped typing. For just a second, her eyes showed hurt. But she had been trained well. She simply nodded politely and said nothing. Jessica did not care. She was already looking away, checking her phone, fixing her hair. Then she heard wheels. Soft wheels rolling smoothly across the marble floor. She glanced up and saw a man coming toward her. He sat in a wheelchair, moving with easy confidence. He wore a crisp white shirt and a dark tie. His face was calm and pleasant. His eyes were sharp and intelligent. He looked at her and smiled. "Good morning," he said. His voice was warm and respectful. Jessica's face changed. Just for a moment. A tiny smirk appeared at the corner of her mouth. Her eyes dropped down to the wheelchair, then quickly looked away, like she had touched something dirty. She forced her lips into a thin smile that did not reach her eyes. "Morning," she said back. But she did not really look at him. She looked past him. Through him. Around him. Anywhere but at him. The man noticed. Of course he noticed. People like him notice everything. They have to. He nodded politely and continued rolling past her, heading toward the elevator. As soon as he was gone, Jessica shook her head slightly. She adjusted her blazer and smoothed down her skirt. Then, under her breath, she muttered something cruel. They should really think about company image before hiring people like that. She said it quietly, but not quietly enough. The receptionist heard it. Her eyes went wide. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then closed it again. Jessica did not notice. She was too busy admiring herself in the reflection of a glass wall. What Jessica did not know, what she could not possibly know, was that the man in the wheelchair was not just anyone. His name was Daniel Harper. He had worked at Sterling and Associates for 12 years. He was the senior director of human resources. one of the most respected people in the entire company. He made decisions about who got hired and who got sent home. He decided who would succeed and who would fail. And in just a few minutes, Jessica Monroe was going to walk into a room and try to impress him. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. Jessica stepped inside and pressed the button for the 9th floor. The doors closed slowly. The elevator hummed as it rose. She checked her reflection one more time in the polished metal walls. Her lipstick was perfect. Her hair was perfect. Her posture was perfect. She had no idea that she had already failed. As the elevator climbed higher, Jessica thought about what she would say. She imagined the interviewers nodding with approval. She pictured them offering her the job on the spot, maybe even applauding. She smiled to herself. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. Jessica stepped out into a world that looked completely different from the lobby below. This floor felt serious, important, powerful. The walls were made of glass so people could see the whole city below. Desks were arranged in neat rows. Everyone was working quietly, focused, professional. Phones rang softly. Keyboards clicked. People moved with purpose. A sign on the wall read, "Sterling and Associates. Building futures. Respecting people." Jessica barely glanced at it. Respect was just a word companies used to make themselves look good. She knew the truth. Business was about results, about strength, about showing everyone you were better than them. She walked down a quiet hallway toward a waiting area. Comfortable chairs lined the walls. A table in the center held magazines and a pitcher of cold water. She sat down, crossed her legs, and waited. Her heart beat faster now. Not from fear. From excitement. This was her moment. The door to the interview room opened. A woman poked her head out and smiled. "Miss Monroe, we're ready for you." Jessica stood up, straightened her jacket one last time, and walked toward the door. Her heels clicked confidently against the floor. Click, click, click. She stepped through the doorway and into the room. And there he was, sitting behind a wide desk. Professional. In control. The man from the lobby. The man in the wheelchair. The man she had dismissed without a second thought. He looked up at her with those same sharp, intelligent eyes. He smiled. A real smile. But there was something else in it now. Something that made Jessica's stomach drop like she had just missed a step on a staircase. "Miss Monroe," he said, his voice smooth and steady. "I'm Daniel Harper, Senior Director of Human Resources. I'll be conducting your interview today. Please, have a seat." Jessica's mouth went dry. Her carefully rehearsed smile cracked. For just a second, she forgot how to breathe. She stood there, frozen, staring at him like she had just seen a ghost. He gestured to the chair across from him. Waiting. Watching. Already knowing everything he needed to know. Jessica's brain screamed at her to move, to sit down, to say something. Anything. But her legs felt like they had turned to stone. The confident woman who had walked through the lobby just minutes ago was gone. In her place stood someone who suddenly understood what the word mistake really meant. "Miss Monroe," Daniel said again, his voice still patient and kind. "Please, sit down." She forced herself to move. Her legs felt shaky as she walked to the chair and sat down. She tried to smile, but it came out wrong. Too wide. Too bright. Like a light bulb that was about to burst. "I didn't realize," she started to say, her voice higher than normal. I didn't know you were the person interviewing you." Daniel finished for her. He smiled softly. "That's all right. Most people don't know who I am when they first arrive." But they both knew that was not what she meant. The air in the room felt thick and heavy. Jessica could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She set her portfolio down on the desk with hands that trembled just a little. She hoped he did not notice. He noticed. Daniel opened a folder in front of him. Her resume. Her perfectly written, carefully designed resume that listed every achievement, every award, every reason why she was supposed to be amazing. "You have an impressive background," he said, looking down at the papers. 5 years in marketing. 3 successful campaigns. Strong numbers across the board. Jessica felt a tiny bit of hope flicker in her chest. Maybe this could still work. Maybe he had not heard what she said in the lobby. Maybe she could still fix this. "Thank you," she said, trying to sound humble. "I work very hard. I believe in giving everything to my job." "That's good to hear," Daniel said. He looked up at her with those calm, measuring eyes. "Tell me, Miss Monroe, what made you want to work at Sterling and Associates?" This was easy. She had practiced this answer 100 times. "Growth," she said with renewed confidence. "I've led teams that doubled their results in less than a year. I'm ready for a company that values strong leadership. A place where I can make a real difference." Daniel nodded slowly. He wrote something down in his notes. Jessica tried to see what he was writing but could not read it from where she sat. "Strong leadership," he repeated. "That's interesting. Tell me, what does strong leadership mean to you?" Jessica sat up straighter. This was her chance. Her moment to shine. "It means being decisive," she said firmly. "It means having presence. Being the kind of person who can command a room the moment they walk in. People need to see strength in their leaders. They need someone who looks the part and acts the part." The words came out smooth and confident. She almost felt like herself again. Almost. Daniel wrote another note. His face showed nothing. No approval. No disappointment. Just calm attention. "And what kind of leader do you struggle to work with?" he asked. Jessica paused. This felt like a trap. But she could not figure out how. So she answered honestly. Or what she thought was honestly. "People who need special treatment," she said. Then she added a small laugh, like she was sharing a secret between friends. "I believe leaders should be adaptable. They should be able to handle anything without needing extra help or accommodations. You know what I mean." Daniel's pen stopped moving. He looked at her for a long moment. The silence stretched out like a piece of gum being pulled too far. "Special treatment," he said quietly. "Can you give me an example?" Jessica's heart started beating faster again. She knew she was walking on thin ice, but she could not see the cracks beneath her feet. "Well, not everyone can handle high-pressure roles," she said carefully. "Some people just aren't built for it. Leadership takes a certain kind of physical presence. Clients notice these things. Appearance matters. Image matters." There it was. She had said it. The truth she believed deep in her heart. The thing she thought everyone knew but were too polite to say out loud. Daniel leaned back in his chair. He folded his hands on the desk in front of him. His face was still calm, but something had changed in his eyes. Something cold and sharp. "Physical presence," he repeated. "So you believe that defines professional ability?" Jessica felt sweat forming on the back of her neck. She laughed nervously. "No, of course not," she said quickly. "I'm not saying that. I just think, well, you know how it is. When clients meet someone for the first time, they make judgments. Optics matter in business. We have to be realistic about that." "Optics," Daniel said. He let the word hang in the air between them like smoke. The room felt smaller now. The walls seemed to be closing in. Jessica wanted to take back everything she had said. She wanted to rewind time and start over. But words, once spoken, cannot be unspoken. They stay in the air forever. Daniel leaned forward. His voice stayed soft, but every word cut like a knife. Miss Monroe, Sterling and Associates was built on a very specific foundation. We believe that excellence comes in many forms. Every single person who works here, regardless of how they move, how they look, or what challenges they face, meets the same high standards. Not lower standards. The same ones. Jessica nodded quickly. Too quickly. "Of course," she said. "I completely agree. I wasn't saying anything different. You mentioned empathy earlier, Daniel continued. Do you believe empathy plays a role in leadership? Empathy, Jessica repeated. She thought about it for a moment. Sure, in moderation. But too much empathy can make people soft. I believe in results. In meritocracy. The best person should get the job, period. No politics. No diversity quotas. Just pure performance. Daniel smiled. But it was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a teacher gives when a student has just proven they did not study for the test. Meritocracy, he said. So you believe this company uses quotas? I didn't mean. Jessica started, but her voice trailed off. Everything she said was making things worse. Every word was digging her hole deeper. Let me tell you something about merit, Daniel said. His voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath it now. Merit is not about how someone looks when they walk into a room. It's not about whether they use a wheelchair or a cane or their own 2 legs. Merit is about skill, intelligence, problem solving, the ability to lead people through difficult situations with grace and wisdom. Jessica wanted to disappear. She wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. I have worked here for 12 years, Daniel continued. In that time, I have hired hundreds of people. Some walked through that door on their own. Some rolled. Some came with challenges you cannot see just by looking. And do you know what every single successful person had in common? Jessica shook her head. She could not speak anymore. Respect, Daniel said. They respected other people. They understood that everyone fights battles we cannot see. They knew that strength comes in many forms, and that the strongest people are often the ones who have overcome the most. He closed her folder. The sound was like a door slamming shut. You talked about company image, he said. Let me tell you about ours. Sterling and Associates is known across this industry for one thing above all else. We treat people like human beings. Every person. No exceptions. Jessica felt tears burning behind her eyes. She blinked them back, refusing to cry. Not here. Not now. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean. Daniel held up his hand, stopping her. Miss Monroe, let me ask you one final question. The room was so quiet that Jessica could hear the clock on the wall ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Each second felt like an hour. She sat frozen in her chair, waiting for whatever came next. Her mouth was dry. Her hands were cold. All the confidence she had walked in with had leaked out of her like air from a balloon. Daniel looked at her with those steady, knowing eyes. He did not look angry. He did not look upset. He looked like someone who had seen this exact situation many times before and knew exactly how it would end. When you walked through our lobby this morning, he said slowly, you saw the wide hallways, the ramps, the accessible design. What did you think when you saw those things? Jessica's throat felt tight. She knew this was a test. She knew the right answer. But something in Daniel's voice told her that lying now would only make things worse. Still, she had to try. I thought, she began carefully, that the company cares about everyone, that you make space for all kinds of people. That's a nice answer, Daniel said. But that's not what you really thought, is it? His words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Jessica felt her face grow hot. She looked down at her hands. I may have been a bit surprised, she admitted quietly. You said this place looked like a hospital, Daniel continued. His voice was not mean. It was not angry. It was worse. It was disappointed. You said we should think about company image before hiring people like me. Jessica's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide. How did he know? She had whispered those words. She had been so quiet. But of course he knew. The receptionist had heard. Maybe others had heard too. In a building full of glass and open spaces, secrets did not stay secret for long. I didn't mean, she started, but Daniel raised his hand again. Miss Monroe, I'm going to tell you something important. Something I hope you will remember long after you leave this building. Are you listening? Jessica nodded. She felt like a child being scolded by a teacher. Small. Ashamed. Caught. Every single person at Sterling and Associates earned their place here, Daniel said. Not because of sympathy. Not because of quotas. Not because someone felt sorry for them. They earned it through hard work, intelligence, and skill. Just like you claim you have. He paused, letting his words sink in. I have 2 advanced degrees, he continued. 1 in business management and 1 in organizational psychology. I speak 3 languages. I have increased this company's employee retention rate by 40%. I have built programs that have been copied by companies around the world. I have received awards from industry leaders who respect what I do. Each sentence hit Jessica like a hammer. She wanted to interrupt, to apologize, to explain herself. But she could not find the words. And yes, Daniel said, his voice growing softer, I use a wheelchair. I have used one since I was 19 years old, after a car accident that nearly killed me. For a long time, I wondered if I would ever work again. If anyone would see past this chair and see me. My skills. My mind. My value. Jessica felt tears rolling down her cheeks now. She could not stop them anymore. But Sterling and Associates did see me, Daniel continued. They saw what I could do, not what I couldn't do. They gave me a chance. And I have spent 12 years making sure that everyone who walks through these doors gets that same chance. Everyone. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a small device. A recording device. Its red light blinked steadily. Every senior-level interview at this company is recorded, he explained. It's company policy. We do it to protect both the candidates and ourselves. Everything you said today, from the moment you walked through that door, has been recorded and saved. Jessica's stomach dropped. She felt like she might be sick. Your resume is excellent, Daniel said, closing the folder one final time. Your skills are real. Your achievements are impressive. But this company values something more important than any campaign or sales number. We value character. And character, Miss Monroe, is how you treat people when you think no one important is watching. He stood up from behind the desk. Not by standing on his legs, but by pushing his wheelchair back and moving around to her side of the desk. He stopped a few feet away from her and looked at her face to face. I'm going to be honest with you, he said. If you had simply been nervous, or if you had asked questions about accessibility out of genuine curiosity, that would have been fine. Everyone has things to learn. Everyone makes mistakes. But what you displayed today was not a mistake. It was a belief system. A way of seeing the world that tells you some people matter less than others. Jessica tried to speak, but Daniel continued. You can change that belief, he said. People can grow. They can learn. They can become better. But that growth has to start with honesty. With really looking at yourself and admitting what you see. He moved toward the door and opened it. The hallway stretched out beyond, leading back to the elevator, back to the lobby, back to the outside world where Jessica would have to face what she had done. Thank you for coming in today, Daniel said formally. We will be in touch within 48 hours with our decision. Have a safe journey home. Jessica stood up on shaky legs. She picked up her portfolio with trembling hands. She wanted to say something. To apologize properly. To beg for another chance. But what words could possibly fix what had been broken? She walked toward the door, her heels clicking quietly now. Not confident anymore. Just hollow. As she passed Daniel, she stopped. I'm sorry, she whispered. I really am. Daniel nodded. I believe you are. I just hope you're sorry for the right reasons. Jessica walked out of the office and down the hallway. The people working at their desks did not look up. They did not know what had just happened. But Jessica felt like everyone could see her shame written across her face. She reached the elevator and pressed the button. As she waited, she looked back down the hallway one more time. Through the glass walls of his office, she could see Daniel sitting at his desk again, writing notes. Probably notes about her. About what she had said. About what she had revealed about herself. The elevator arrived with a soft ding. Jessica stepped inside. The doors closed. As the elevator descended, she caught sight of her reflection in the polished metal walls. The same woman who had ridden up just 30 minutes ago. Same suit. Same hair. Same face. But everything was different now. When the elevator reached the lobby, Jessica walked out quickly. She did not look at the receptionist. She did not look at the beautiful fountain or the shiny floors or the wide, accessible hallways that had made her laugh. She just walked straight to the door and pushed through it into the bright afternoon sun. Outside, the city buzzed with life. Cars honked. People walked past. The world kept moving like nothing had happened. But for Jessica Monroe, everything had changed. She would not get the job. She knew that now. The recording would be filed away. Her name would be marked in some system. Other companies might hear about it. Her perfectly planned career might take years to recover. But more than that, something deeper had shifted. For the first time in her life, Jessica had been forced to see herself through someone else's eyes. Not the confident, capable person she believed she was. But someone smaller. Someone who had let prejudice and judgment cloud her vision. Someone who had hurt another person without even realizing it. As she walked away from the Sterling and Associates building, Jessica thought about Daniel's words. Character is how you treat people when you think no one important is watching. She had thought no one important was watching. She had been so very wrong. 3 days later, Jessica received an email. It was short and formal. Sterling and Associates had decided to move forward with other candidates. They wished her well in her future endeavors. There was no explanation. No second chance. Just a polite closing of a door that she herself had slammed shut. Jessica sat in her apartment, staring at the email on her laptop screen. And for the first time, she understood something important. Respect is not something you give only to people who can help you. It is not something you save for bosses and clients and people with power. Respect is something you give to every single person you meet, because you never know who they are, what they've overcome, or what they might teach you about yourself. Some lessons come gently, through kind words and patient teachers. Other lessons come like a lightning bolt, sudden and painful and impossible to forget. Jessica had learned hers the hard way. But perhaps in time, that painful lesson would make her into a better person. Someone who looked past wheelchairs and differences and saw the human being underneath. Someone who understood that true strength is not about physical presence or perfect appearances. It is about respect, empathy, and the courage to see your own flaws and work to change them. The story of Jessica Monroe and Daniel Harper is not just about one failed interview. It is a reminder to all of us. Every person we meet is fighting a battle we cannot see. Every person deserves respect, not because of what they can do for us, but because they are human. Before you judge someone, remember that you might be looking at your future boss, your future teacher, your future friend, or simply another human being trying their best to navigate a world that doesn't always make space for them. Character is how you treat people when you think no one important is watching. But here's the truth. Everyone is important. Everyone is watching. And how you treat people in those small, unguarded moments reveals who you truly are. Jessica learned that lesson too late. Don't make the same mistake.